lived with both my parents till I was about 6, and then they got a divorce. My mom moved to a city like an hour away, I guess, to kind of get away from my dad. So we lived in this little small town for like a year. Then we moved back to my dad's city, and it was just like not even a city, it was out in the country. It was close to a big city, which was my hometown, and country atmosphere. Chickens, horses, dogs, cats, gooses, geese, pigeons, bunnies. We had all kinds of pets. And then, of course, there was like wildlife galore. And yeah, I had like a decent childhood. I always say it was good. I was maybe a little bit neglected. As far as like co-parenting, they tried to get along for our sake, and my dad did buy me a horse when I was 12 and had it at his house for a couple years, and then moved it to my mom's house. And then I guess it would be shorter time than that. It was like at his house for a year. Then he moved it to my mom's. Then like a year later he died. So once he died, I was 14 and just entering high school. I could have been a way worse teenager, but like I was okay. Our math teacher was like this, he seemed like this beta male, frumpy, just scared to live guy. And there he is, our teacher, and we're like freshmen, sophomores, I think sophomores. So we just gave this guy a hard time, like not too difficult, but we were just like a bad class. We gave this guy a hard time. I remember one time my friend dared me to write a note and put it on the board. So like I did, and it was kind of mean, and I literally felt bad. And like later on I'm like, why did I do that? Because it was funny but also mean. So I decided the only way I could make it better was to write a nicer note and like give it to the teacher and just not be a bitch. So a few weeks later or something, I wrote this note and it was like, hey Mr. T, you're a really cool teacher, and sorry we gave you a hard time sometimes. You're a really cool teacher. And then I just left it on his desk, and it was near the end of the school year, so we didn't have to talk or anything. I never spoke to him again. But getting through life without using drugs has been like difficult as it is. So I can't really imagine adding onto that using drugs, trying to get money for drugs, having my family think I'm a junkie, going to jail, etc. That shit stays on your record. I'm sure it makes for a much more difficult life using drugs, because I can tell you, like 10 years, a decade, my daughter is 10, and that flew by so quickly. Like I tell people, it felt more like 2 or 3 years. Like it really did not feel long. And I spent every minute with her other than at school. It was like from the time she was born, I didn't have a family support connection with like the sister that could watch my kid or a mom who could watch my daughter. No, it was just me. I'm thankful for that, and I made a conscious choice to know going into my marriage actually that I probably wouldn't have a lot of family support and I'd be doing it on my own, but I felt okay with that. Like I was looking forward to it. However, it did make it lonely raising a child. My husband would be at work all day and I'd just be home, and my other friend Amy, she's like, oh yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom for like 4 months, and then I was like, no, I'm going back to work. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I had a couple jobs from home during her toddler years that, you know, were fine, but like I could even tell even my part-time jobs from home took me away from her and my family responsibilities and stuff. And so, as far as like, honestly, for ladies out there wondering, I worked for 6 years at a radio station, TV station. I saw all the events the station did, behind the scenes, the news anchors, how they did the news segments, how they recorded them, how they recorded commercials. I learned all about like how the salespeople like get clients and then have to make proposals for the clients and get an agreement, get a contract. And then I would be the one, sometimes the client would call and want to know when their commercials aired, and so I'd have to pull the reports. And I got to listen to a lot of commercials. I got to see a lot of people getting interviewed and being hired, and how like my boss in particular chose somebody that she liked, and she was always trying to get me to work in sales, but I was not good at sales. I was not outgoing. I didn't want to kiss ass to anybody, and I just wasn't really a good salesperson. So I stayed like the assistant behind the scenes, the marketing assistant, doing graphic design, special events, things like that. And I loved it. Like, I really, really loved it. We had like this puppy fashion show I was in charge of, and it was literally some of the best times of my life for sure. However, once certain people like managers left and things changed, they're just not always going to stay the same forever. So my 5-6 years there of happiness, towards the end wasn't so happy. And then that's when I decided that I wanted to move. But while I was there, I saw people come and go, get fired sometimes. Like, you just never know if you're even going to have this job. So personally, I will just say I didn't find joy and fulfillment from my job. I felt stressed. I felt tired. I felt overwhelmed sometimes. And that was a really good job because I had worked in insurance before that. I had worked actually at 2 insurance companies. I was licensed in property and casualty, and I learned all about insurance and car and stuff, but that was so boring. So, and people that are honest with you will be like, most jobs are not a career. A career nowadays is so different from what it used to be, and you really have like the tools nowadays to kind of create something different for yourself and make you happy, or like, you have a lot of time to fill as a stay-at-home mom and a wife. You really do have a lot of time to fill. So for me, it was just like a matter of, I was still in like graphic design. I learned how to play Fortnite. I took care of our pets, which was like a full-time job. I just spending time with friends and like reaching out to my sisters and making sure like they were okay. Just a lot of stuff took up my time, plus just caring for my child took up many hours of the day. Planning meals, taking care of things around the house. It was good, but again, it just passes by so quickly. So quickly you'll look back. Because think about it, like, even if you're watching this video, you're probably at least 15, 20, 25 years old. Think back to the last 5 years. Did it go by quickly? When you really think about it, we'll just know that as you get even older, it goes faster and faster. So enjoy your time. Like, if you want to go to college, do it. But don't do things that you don't want to do. Don't be a people pleaser and don't settle. That would be my biggest advice as far as how to get through life without drugs, without addiction. Just like, be real with yourself. Find a counselor. Get some healing and perspective of your life. Just talk to someone about your life and your childhood. If you can't afford a counselor, I say someone, because you could essentially talk to a friend or a romantic partner or someone like me in training. Like, I'm always talking to my girlfriends about their lives and love and their opinions, drug use, etc. I'm just curious and I'm in training and I want to know. So there's usually always people out there that want to help and want to give you advice and encouragement. So seek those people